All right, welcome everybody. My name is Judy Mark, and I am the president of Disability Voices United, the organization, one of the two organizations that is co-sponsoring this event, as well as Assembly Bill 1147. We're so happy you're here. And now I would like to introduce Fernando Gomez, who is going to be co-leading this town hall. Go ahead, Fernando.
Great. Thank you, Judy, and welcome everybody. We're so happy to see you here today in this really important town hall. On behalf of the Integrated Community Collaborative, home of the ICC Community Integradoras, we welcome you, and we say that we're not only proud, but we're really excited to be part of this AB 1147, the Disability, Equity, and Accountability Act. So it's looking forward to this great conversation tonight.
Thank you all for coming, and we really, really appreciate it. We are really excited to talk to you about Assembly Bill 1147. It has sort of been a long time coming, and the thing that we are really thrilled about is who our author is. Assemblymember Addis represents the 30th district from the Central Coast. So she represents from around San Luis Obispo up through Monterey with a little bit of Santa Cruz County. But most importantly, she's a former special education teacher. And we are so thrilled that she has realized this is a priority. So I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to let her take it away. Go ahead, Assemblymember Addis, and thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you so much, Judy. And it's really wonderful to be here with all of you today. I do want to say thank you. I'm the brand new Assembly member for Assembly District 30. As Judy said, I represent San Luis Obispo County, almost the entire county. I represent coastal Monterey, and I represent a portion of coastal Santa Cruz. So I actually have 20% of California's coast that I represent. Prior to this, I'll tell you, I was sworn in on December 5th, but up until December 4th, I was a teacher in San Luis Coastal Unified School District. I taught special education for about a decade and a half. Then I moved into English learner education, so program coordination. And during that time, really had the opportunity to serve students with a variety of needs, some of whom have interactions with the regional centers, but all of whom have their own unique characteristics, their own unique assets, their own unique strengths, as well as their own unique needs for services. And so want to say thank you so much to Disability Voices United and to all of you for bringing us this legislation and for giving us the opportunity to work together to make change for California's people with disabilities, to families of adult and junior children with disabilities. It's a huge honor for us. Before I go too far into specifics of the bill, I did want to talk a little bit about my personal connection. Judy said it and I said it, that I taught special education, but so much of that work really had to do with engaging with families and helping families connect to the services they needed, as well as working with families whose spoke English as an additional language and whose children were learning English as an additional language. And through that work, really saw how important it is to have services that are linguistically appropriate, services that are culturally appropriate, and services that are equitable and welcome all families into the fold. And I think that that is one of the reasons that 1147, that this legislation is so important and that we're so proud to bring it forward, is that we have seen so much of the issues with our regional centers has been around inequitable services, not enough accountability, and not enough support for families. And so we really want to be able to help fill those gaps in partnership with all of you and in partnership with Disability Voices United. So very excited and very honored to do that with you. And what we hope to do with 1147 is to address, as I mentioned, ethnic, racial, geographic disparities. We want to improve outcomes for individuals that have intellectual as well as developmental disabilities. And I will just add this tidbit in. When I was in the classroom, I served students with a range of disabilities. So I taught students who had learning disabilities. I taught at a bilingual elementary school and taught students reading in their primary language of Spanish. I also taught what we referred to as moderate severe classrooms. So students that had intellectual disabilities were more impacted by Down syndrome or autism. And then I worked with students with emotional disabilities, as well as others who had multiple issues going on. So much of what we talk about in this work feels very familiar to me, but I will also say clearly that I have a lot to learn. And so that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to partner with you and to hear more voices from the field and more family experiences. So back to the bill. We also hope to provide greater transparency and increase confidence in California's developmental disability services system, and really to make sure that your families, that your children get the services they need. And we know that recent reports by the Little Hoover Commission, by Disability Voices United, have really highlighted a need for this and the pathway for where we need to go. So with that, Judy, maybe I'll stop there. I know that it's a very full meeting, but just say that our door is open. We're incredibly excited and honored to work with all of you, and our door is open as issues arise, and we're moving this bill through the process. We will bring it to committee pretty soon. I'll be testifying or presenting in committee. We welcome Disability Voices United and other folks to come up in support of the bill, to share your stories, to write letters, to contact our office, to contact your own representatives as well through that advocacy. And then after committee, there's a little bit of a process for it to go through, but Judy's the expert on that, so I'm not going to get too deep into it, but just want to say thank you for having us, and we're really proud to work together.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Addis. I also want to compliment your staff and how amazing they are to work with. They have been incredible, so on top of everything. So thank you so much.
Shout out to Julie Cravoto, who's somewhere on this screen, who's really been shepherding. She's my ledge director. And if you can find her on the screen, shoot her a message of thanks, because she's really put her heart and soul into this. So thank you for mentioning that, Judy.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. And you're getting lots of love in the chat. Just want you to know that. Lots of thank yous and lots of love. So thank you so much, Assemblymember, and we are going to get started with explaining exactly how AB 1147 is going to change the way that people receive services in our state and the way that they're respected and holding the system more accountable. So now we're going to move to why we are actually moving forward with this legislation. And we have a range of folks who are going to tell that story. And so first, I'd like to call on Elizabeth Gomez. Elizabeth is the director of the Integrated Community Collaborative, which is the co-sponsoring organization of the bill. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Hi, good afternoon. So I like to say I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. And I also want to say that I send my love to Assemblymember Dawn Addis, and she's getting a lot of love from me as well. And also to all her staff and to everyone that's here today. So a little bit about me. So I'm Elizabeth Gomez, director of the Integrated Community Collaborative, or as many refer to as ICC. I am also a mother of two boys. My 16-year-old son, Oscar Antonio, has Down syndrome. And he has been a client of the regional center since he was 3 months old. You have probably seen the data that show that people of color receive fewer services than whites. But I see the faces behind those statistics. And this is what I found. I've had the opportunity to sit in over 700 IPPs meetings over the last several years. I have also attended numerous hearings to support parents who are navigating a very complex and overwhelming regional center system. Many parents are talked down to and may feel intimidated for needing help. Parents, particularly parents of color and those who don't speak English, tell me that they feel overwhelmed by their interactions with the regional centers. They don't feel that their culture is respected. And the worst thing is that I hear that parents feel like they have to beg for services for their disabled child, services that their child is entitled to. I say the bottom line is that most of the families I work with don't trust the regional center system. They are afraid to talk with them. And what they say might be held against them is what they say. These families are afraid to let the regional centers in their homes. They actually tell me that they fear the regional center will take their child away from them. And many in our community experience a complex system, a culture of no, denial by delay, and a focus on compliance as opposed to person-centered outcomes. This is why I am here and have been on this journey for years. ICC is a co-sponsor of AB 1147 because we want to be part of the solution. I can only say today that AB 1147 gives me hope and the energy to bring about the changes that can make a difference for so many. AB 1147, the Disability Equity and Accountability Act, represents the voice of people. It imagines a system that is about the very community it is designed to support. We are representing the voice of many when I say we must have a place to start. We need a system with more equity, accountability, and transparency. We believe that AB 1147 is that start, and I would like to thank Assemblymember Don Addis and the Little Hoover Commission who see the need and have the heart to hear us. We have a long way to go to get this bill passed, and I know that DDS will work with us on this bill as well because I know they want to make the system better. I hope that the regional centers will engage our community as partners, and I hope that all of you can unite and take the necessary steps to make this act and become a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I would now like to call on Kavita Sreedhar. Kavita is the founder of PRAGNYA, which is a wonderful organization in Northern California. Go ahead, Kavita.
Hi, thank you so much, Judy. Thank you, Assemblymember Addis, for championing this bill, and Disability Voices United and ICC for something that is long pending. My name is Kavita. As Judy mentioned, I'm the parent of a 17-and-a-half-year-old neurodiverse young lady who's been diagnosed with autism and also with a comorbidity or co-occurring condition of a seizure disorder and a co-occurring mental health condition. She's been a client of the regional center since her diagnosis, which is age 4, but did not receive services until she turned almost 15, just at the start of the pandemic. And therein lies the problem. Even though we knew about the fact that there is support for her that is available, we were not completely aware. Technically, we're supposed to be from the educated, high-achieving, highly educated population that come here as tech workers, highly skilled workers from, South Asian countries like India and, surrounding countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Most of us come here as IT workers. And first of all, the cultural shame and guilt in trying to reach out for services is a huge deal for us. The diagnosis itself is extremely overwhelming. Let alone the process of having to navigate a system of support for a child that we're not even sure what actually we could do to support. And if there are supports in the system is so complex, being shunted from one service system to another service system, the school, the county office, the regional center, and the extensive delays in somebody getting back to them and providing them the service, or getting back to us and letting us know what is available for them itself amounts to denying. And on top of all of that, we come from a culture where most of us, at least the Southeast Asian cultures, we respect authority. And a lot of times, if somebody is, if they don't have to give us no as an answer, but it's just the fact that if there is a delay, or the fact that even the slightest bit of condescension or the slightest bit of a denial, people do not feel comfortable accessing services. So I think these are two main areas: the cultural sensitivity and the fact that the system is so complex already for us, and for parents who are coming here with a diagnosis, getting overwhelmed by the system when somebody is not there to help them navigate it with no proper responsiveness. It calls for some sort of a systemic overhaul. And there should be some timelines and guidelines that need to be established as to when somebody gets back to somebody, how the process works. And I think this bill would address all of those issues. And that is the reason that PRAGNYA as an organization, and me as a parent of a neurodiverse young lady who's being served by the regional center system, highly support this particular bill. So thank you so much for coming forward, DVU and ICC and Assemblymember Addis, for making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavita. That was perfect. I really appreciate it. I would now like to introduce Irma Soto. Irma is the parent of a child served by Inland Regional Center. I want to just let everybody know that Irma will be speaking in Spanish. So a reminder for those of you who are English speakers to please select your language at the bottom of your screen, because we will hear simultaneous interpretation. So Irma, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can go. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Irma Soto. I am the mother of a young man with autism and ADHD. First of all, thank you to all the people who kindly invited me to this meeting, for giving me the opportunity to share my concerns about the rights of my son. He is a client of a regional center since he is 6 years old, specifically the Inland Regional Center. Unfortunately, my experience with that institution has not been satisfactory. On the last 7 months, it has been nearly impossible to communicate with them. My son requires so much support, and unfortunately, I have not been able to get it. Right now, my son does not have a service coordinator assigned to him. For this reason, I am here supporting AB 1147. I consider that if this passes, many Hispanic families will benefit. And again, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irma. We really appreciate it. And we know this is her first time that she has done something like this. So this is really great. I'd now like to present Cendy Topete. Cendy is the mother of 2 amazing young adults with Down syndrome. And go ahead, Cendy.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here and share AB 1147 with the community and how important it is for us. And I would like to thank the Assembly, Don Davis and Little Hoover, and DVU for hearing us as a community. My name is Cendy Topete. I'm a single mother raising 3 children, 2 of them born with Down syndrome, and they have been clients of the regional center since they were born. I never received any help or helping him from my service coordinator. It was completely opposite. They denied most of the service, even worse. They never offered a service that I did not have to fight for. I have to learn to advocate to services for so many years. The problem is my children could have been in a better place, but now it's too late. I will never know. I can share that the reason why disparities exist is because of the lack of services coordination. Instead of helping the Black services for those who don't know any better, or even if they know the only word them is sending families to look somewhere else for help. Generic resources are a cover-up for that denial service to families, even when they see the huge in their clients. I have to go to unfair hearings. I have seen the ugly face of the system when instead of helping, they have used families' confidential information to use against them during a hearing. In order to get supported living service for my daughter when she turned 18, I built a separate apartment behind my house. I had to do all the required policies, such as to make sure that the unit has complete independence from my house. Otherwise, I knew it would be denied. I prepare so that I can fight for those supports. I'm also a witness to many mothers that I help navigate the system. And I also can speak for hours of the injustice to the Latino community. The system needs to have a heart and stay away from only enforcing made-up policies because they do not follow the law. They deny services by decisions. IEPs are the same interrogations, same questions over and over. One IPP can take up to 3-4 meetings, even more. So the families can file an appeal because they haven't been given a denial. There's like they've been waiting for years and years and years to see one service for a family in need to be implemented. I'm here today to tell the community that we need to support SB 1147 to see the change in the way the regional centers works. The bill will make sure the regional centers are transparent, responsible, and accountable to their families they serve. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Cendy. That was beautiful. And finally, I want to call on Betty Grimble. Betty is also the mother of a young man who receives services from regional centers. Go ahead, Betty. Oop, you are muted. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, sorry. I apologize, but I'm gonna have to read from my thing. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so supportive of this bill, and I wanna thank you for letting me be a part of this. Good afternoon, my name is Betty Grimble, and I'm the mother of an amazing young man named John who has autism. I have been involved in trying to make the regional center more equitable and accountable. I volunteered countless hours to serve as a board member for my regional center that I was on and ultimately become the chair. I took my role as a board member very seriously. Regional center boards are highly regulated by state law. The board's composition is specifically required to reflect the racial and ethnic population it serves. There are requirements for training and of support for board members who need understanding and issues being discussed. What should be very clear is that the board selects and supervises the executive director. What should be clear is the board answers to the community of people with developmental disabilities and their families. But none of this is the case. Many boards are not compliant with the legal requirements and racial composition, training and support for members. Some board members have been on the board for decades and treat the boards as a way to socialize and to use for their own personal needs. Board members are not trained on things that matter. They need to understand how to supervise an employee who's their employee, hold them accountable, and provide important feedback to the community. I also know board members that are intimidated about speaking out about their concerns. I was one of them. I also know of board members who have faced retaliation and reduced services because they do not speak up. All of this needs to change, and hopefully this bill will help. Board members need training from independent organizations who are not biased towards the staff. This is very important. Board members need more support when voting on complicated contracts. This is not being done. More board members need to be protected from retaliation. I know of this. The state needs to adopt a grievance procedure where board members can seek support or file complaints. I was so proud to serve as a board member for my regional center and to help others as I was there. But the reality was that when we tried to do our job, we faced criticism and intimidation. I hope that things can change in the future so that boards are accountable to our community, to our people, and not to the system. Thank you so much for letting me speak, and I appreciate being a part of this, and I hope to continue to be a part of the community and help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Betty. That was fantastic.